Join me on a journey through all the books on my orange shelf that I haven't read yet. Hi everyone, welcome to Cook, Create, Read. My name is Terry and I am a middle-aged mixed genre reader. Today's video is the second in a series in which I take you through all the books that I have on my shelves that I haven't read yet. My books are arranged in colour order and today we're going to be going through the orange shelf. Just noticed I've colour coordinated my t-shirt today. That was completely unplanned. Got my Patti Smith Group t-shirt with the orange writing, so yay. So how many books do I have? 1, 2, 3. So I've got 44 books on this shelf that I have not yet read. So let's get started. First up, we have got Prodigal Summer by Barbara Kingsolver. I hadn't read anything by this author until last year when I read Demon Copperhead, which I enjoyed, but it took me forever to get through it, and it wasn't like her writing was superb. The story was engaging. I loved the characters. I don't know why. I mean, it's a big book, so that's why it took me so long, but I kept putting that book down and not rushing to go back to it. I don't know why really, but anyway, I did enjoy it. Haven't read anything else by her. This one I think is about a woman who's a bit of a loner, and she lives in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and somehow she comes into contact with a man from a farm who lives locally. I don't really know anything about it apart from that, but I'm definitely going to keep it on my shelf and hopefully we'll get to it at some point. I'm going to say that so often in this video, so I'm going to try and stop saying that. Obviously, I want to read all of these books. Who knows when I'll get to them. Next up we have Little Deaths by Emma Flint. This is set in New York in a very hot summer, and I think there's a murder, a bit of a clue in the title, called Little Deaths. Apart from that, I don't really know what it's about. Definitely still want to read it, so keeping that on. Next we've got Game of Lies by Claire Mackintosh. Claire Mackintosh wrote one of my favourite thriller books ever called, lordy, what's it called? Called I Let You Go. I've spoken about it in a couple of videos already, and I don't have many videos on my channel, but it's one of the books that, it's a thriller and it just had the most amazing twist in it that I'd never read anything like it before when I read it, and it stuck with me ever since. I think I've read a couple of her other books as well, which I have really enjoyed, so still interested in reading this one. This one is about a reality show, I think like Big Brother or something. Next up we've got The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. This is nominated for the TikTok Book Awards. I'm not on TikTok, so I wouldn't have a clue. But I have heard a lot of hype about this book. I do love the cover. This one's set in Ireland, and I think it's about friendship and betrayal. That's pretty much all I know about that one. Then we have How to Be an American Housewife by Margaret Dillaway. I bought this in the Santa Cruz bookshop Santa Cruz, when we were on our first road trip in America a few years ago. And this is about a Japanese girl who leaves Japan and comes to America. Quite a few years later she goes back to Japan. So I think this is a mother-daughter family saga. Next up we've got Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This, obviously, I think everybody's heard of this one. I did start reading this. I haven't got my bookmarks still in it, but I did start reading this and I was finding it a bit of a slog and I gave up on it. But I think it was probably just my mood at the time. I still think that this book might be for me. So I'm keeping it for now and I will give this one another go. It's recently been made into a TV series, I think. I think it's a series, not a film, which I don't want to watch because I need to read the book first. Then we have The Lost Man by Jane Harper. I read The Dry by this author and really enjoyed that book. That was set in the Australian outback. I think this one is a pretty similar setting, set on a cattle ranch in Australia, and I think there is a murder. I don't know if I think it might be the second one in the series, although I don't think you have to read them, you know, in the right order or anything. But I think it follows the same investigator person. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's true. Next up we have a classic, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I think I know the twist in this, but that's fine, I don't mind. I still want to read this one. Natasha, my daughter's read this recently, and I think she gave it 5 stars, and she was urging me to read it, so definitely want to get to this one pretty soon. Then we have The Weekend by Charlotte Wood. This is another one that I started and wasn't in the mood for. How far did I get? Oh look, I've got a tab in there for something. So there's a group of 4 women who are friends, have been friends for a long time. One of them dies, and the other 3 go to her house to clear it out before it gets sold. And I think there's some, you know, friendship tension and stuff. I don't really know why I put it down, but definitely going to pick it up again soon. I really like her books. I've also read Stoneyard Devotional, which I enjoyed, and The Natural Way of Things, which was incredible. I loved that book. So definitely want to keep this one and get to it soon. Then we have Tuesday Nights in 1980 by Molly Prentice. I bought this one in New York in the Strand bookstore. This is set in New York in the 1980s. I was a teenager in the 1980s and I love New York, and I do like this cover. So still interested in reading this. This is a lot of these books are yellow actually. They're not all orange, but that's what's on the shelf. So yeah, I think this is a group of friends, again, a friendship type story. It says, welcome to the wild, colourful, messy world of downtown New York at the outset of the 1980s. What's not to love about that? Then we've got 2 books by the same author. We've got If You Want to Make God Laugh and Hum If You Know the Words by Bianca Marais. Bianca Marais is a South African author. I grew up in South Africa and I very much enjoy reading South African authors. This one is set in a squatter camp on the outskirts of Johannesburg, and there's the threat of civil war and the growing AIDS epidemic. So that one sounds like it's going to be a bit of a heartbreaker. This one is about life under the apartheid system in the 1970s. So I was growing up in South Africa from, you know, we moved there in 1976 when I was 4. So I think both of these time periods are very much what I was living through at the time as well. So I'm really interested in reading these. I think the only reason I haven't picked them up so far is because they are pretty chunky. Like, they're huge books. They're like bigger than my head. And they're like 400 pages each. But definitely want to read them, and I would like to get to these very soon, to be honest. Oopsie. Next up we have got The Savage Detectives by Roberta Bolaño. So this is a book that my mum bought me. My mum died nearly 6 years ago now, and every Christmas I would give her a list of books and she would buy me some of that list. This is one of them, and I haven't read it yet, but looking at this book now, I don't know if I'm ever going to read this, but I can't get rid of it because my mum bought it for me. But so chapter 4 starts on page 173, and for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages, there is not a single paragraph break. I honestly don't know if I can read this. Is this lighting all right? It's a bit dark. It's sort of early evening on a Friday, and I don't know if this lighting's any good, but anyway, that's what we have to work with. So this is supposed to be like a really classic detective story. My mum was a huge detective story reader. She loved crime novels, police procedural books. I can't get rid of this, obviously, but I don't know if I'm ever going to read it because of those paragraphs. I don't know if I can handle them. If you've read that, please let me know if it's worth me struggling through, because I'm not feeling the paragraph situation there. Next up we have got One Night New York by Lara Thompson. When I go on holiday, before I go, I like to read books set in the place that I'm going to. And Dave and I went to New York it was just after COVID actually. And I bought this before we went, and obviously I haven't read it yet. This book is set over the course of one night, and it starts off at the top of the Empire State Building where 2 women are waiting for a man to arrive, and this man has wronged them both in some way. And then shenanigans happen from there, I believe. Then we have Summer Fever by Kate Riordan. I think this is like a domestic psychological thriller set in a very hot summer, I believe. We've got a short trip coming up We're going to Croatia for 5 days, and I think it's going to be very hot, and all I plan to do is sit around the pool and read books. So I think I might take this one with me, and it feels appropriate to read in that kind of setting. Pretty cover too. Then we have Exit Management by Naomi Booth. Naomi Booth wrote one of my favourite books called Sealed, which is a kind of dystopia. Is it dystopian? But it's about, it's set in Australia. She's an Australian author, and there's this weird virus thing going around that everybody's orifices start sealing up. It's a really great book, so I recommend that if you haven't read it. This one is about someone who helps people die, basically. At the end of their life, this person comes in and assists them in dying, I think. It's actually set in London, this one, not in Australia, but very much looking forward to this because I absolutely loved her. I absolutely loved Sealed, so I'm hoping this one will have the same vibes. Then we have The Good People by Hannah Kent. Hannah Kent wrote one of my favourite books ever, Burial Rites, which is set in Iceland. And it's about I'm sure everybody knows about that book, but it's the last woman in Iceland to be hanged, I think. This one's set in Ireland, and it follows the story of 3 women in 1825. And I think this is about grief, motherhood, love, and it's meant to be a really good read, so I'm looking forward to that one. Then we have The Mercies by Kieran Millward Hargrave. I think this is a historical fiction set in Norway, and it is another story about friendship and love. Then we have The Stepford Wives by Ira Levin. This is a classic that I haven't read. This is kind of I think it's like a horror story about a group of women who have been cloned or something like that. It's super short. I don't know, I just need to get this one read. It shouldn't take long. It's like 130 pages and it's a classic, so why have I not read it? I'm going to put this on my ever-growing Shorty September TBR, and let's see if I can get this one read this year. Then we have The Idiot by Elif Batuman. There was a lot of hype about this one a few years ago. I think it was on either the Booker or Women's Prize shortlists, long lists, not sure. This is a coming-of-age story, I believe, about a woman who goes to Harvard University, and it's about her struggles in finding her way into adulthood. I've heard good and bad things about this one, but I think I'm going to like it. I love the cover, and yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy that one. Next we have another classic, The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is it a science fiction-y? I think this is kind of a post-apocalyptic novel. It's supposed to be absolutely brilliant. Ooh, it says on the back, if there's one thing scarier than a dystopian novel about the future, it's one written in the past that has already begun to come true. I need to get to this one soon. Then we have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. This is a fantasy novel about a coffee shop that's run by orcs, I believe. That is not usually my kind of thing. I'm not massively into fantasy. I do like to read fantasy now and then though, and this is meant to be like a really cozy read. So I am looking forward to reading this one. Then we have A Cry from the Dust by Carrie Stewart Parks. I think this is kind of a blend of fiction and non-fiction. So it's about a true life event, but it's kind of a fictionalized version of it. And it surrounds the story of a massacre, I believe, some militant Mormons who killed 140 women and children. And I think there's some other murders that go on as well. So this one sounds very interesting. So I'm intrigued. Next we've got A Chonker. This is Shantaram by Gregory David Roberts. This is another one I think that's a blend of fiction and non-fiction. I think it's kind of a memoir but also fiction, and oh god, it's enormous. I don't know if this is ever gonna get read. Oh, this must be, someone's underlined a few bits in here, which is fine. I believe this man was in prison and he escaped from prison, and he's travelled around the world. He's been a drug addict, and it's about all his struggles throughout his life, I believe. Humongous, but it sounds really interesting. The Daily Telegraph says it's a literary masterpiece, so who am I to argue with that? Another classic, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. Everybody loves this book, and I think I just need to get it read. This is a coming-of-age story, and I think it's kind of a bit YA, so I think this one will be a quick read for me, although it's pretty chunky. Oh, it's got horrible font. It's nearly 500 pages, and it's just about a girl growing up in Brooklyn, I think, in the 1900s, from 1902 to 1919. This is a universally loved book. Then we have Perfume, the story of a murderer by Patrick Suskind. This is a serial killer who is very much turned on by scent, I believe. He has the finest nose in Paris and no personal odour. So this is meant to be like a gothic serial killer story, which I am very much interested in reading, although it has been on my shelf for many years. One day I will get to it. Next we have A Burning by Megha Majumdar. This is set in India, and it follows the story of 3 different people who are dreaming of a better life, I believe. And it says on the back it's taut, propulsive and electrifying. Then we have Things in Jars by Jess Kidd with a horrible Waterstone sticker. The Case of the Extraordinary Child. I have a feeling this might be a bit magical realism-y, which is not my vibe. It's set in London in 1863. Oh, it says, to recover a stolen child, Bridie must enter the dark world of medical curiosities. The public love a spectacle, and this child may well prove the most remarkable spectacle London has ever seen. I don't actually recall buying this book at all, but that sounds pretty interesting. Giving me slight vibes of Geek Love by Catherine Dunn, one of my most favourite books ever in the world. Yeah, maybe I need to bump this one up and prioritise it. And then we have A is for Alibi by Sue Grafton. This is the first in a very long series, I think, of detective type novels. I think it's a series. I think they're all linked, but they might not be. They might all be separate stories, but just, you know, they follow the alphabet. This one at least follows the story of a private investigator in California. And I paid £1.50 for this from a charity shop. Ooh, it says, will keep you awake until the last page has been turned. Then we have Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I also bought this one in the Santa Cruz bookshop in Santa Cruz on our first road trip. This is a used book, and I paid $9.90 for it, but it's literally brand new. I don't think it's been read at all. This isn't really my thing, I don't think. I feel like it's going to be a bit too fluffy for me, but I might be completely wrong. And I know that it's been made into a film, which people love, and I know people love this book. So I definitely want to give it a go. I'm just a little bit concerned that I might find the people really annoying. But it's also meant to be quite funny. But then again, I don't really like funny books, but very difficult to please. Yeah, it says hilarious, a riot. Zaniness, a rollicking must read. Yeah, I really don't know if this one's going to be for me, but I'm going to keep it and we will see. Next we have one I know nothing about. This is The Neighbour Upstairs by Catherine Croft. I think this is one of those naughty buys from Tesco's when I'm doing the weekly shop. It's so hard to resist those books sometimes. So just reading the back, I think this is about a mother and daughter, a single mum and her daughter, who are befriended by a man who lives in their apartment building. And I think things don't go quite according to plan. So it says it's a compelling psychological thriller with an unforgettable ending. So that sounds right up my alley. Next up, we've got The Dark Circle by Linda Grant. This was £2 from a charity shop in England. This one is set in the 1950s. And we follow a pair of twins who contract TB and are locked up in a newly opened NHS sanatorium. So that sounds pretty good. And we've got Really Good Actually by Monica Hasey. We'll go with Hasey. I think this one's had a lot of hype fairly recently as well. And it's about a woman who gets married and then the marriage ends really quickly. And it's about how she picks up the pieces after that. This is another one that says it's supposed to be a funny book, so I don't know if it's for me, but I'm interested enough to keep this one in and give it a go. And then we have A Patchwork Planet by Anne Tyler. Anne Tyler is one of those authors that I hear about a lot, and I feel like I will like her books, but I haven't actually read anything from her yet. So I'm hoping this is a good place to start with her. And I think we follow a man whose wife has just left him and taken their baby daughter with her. And that's pretty much all I know. We're on to the last pile. We've got The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. Ashley Audrain. I bought this book in the Village Wells bookshop. Is that in Los Angeles? I think it's in the outskirts of LA. This was on our first road trip. I've also got The Push by this author, which I haven't read yet, which did get a lot of hype. And this one I think was less hyped. Sorry, there's a load of traffic outside. I think this is about women in suburbia. And that's about all I know. Again, I like the cover. It's orange, it's pretty. And I've heard good things. Then we have Revival Season by Monica West. So I think this follows a religious family who kind of go on road trips to spread the word. I don't know where I heard about this, but now I wonder if it was compared to Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I think that's what it is. I think it's similar to that. Then we have I Love You But I've Chosen Darkness by Claire Vaye Watkins. I have read Gold Flame Citrus by her, which I enjoyed. I think this one is set in Nevada and it follows some kind of like spiritual group, maybe a bit culty. Not sure, but love the cover and enjoyed her writing in the last book I read of hers, so yeah, looking forward to that one. Then we have A Church of Marvels by Leslie Parry. I think this is a circusy type book. I have got quite a few circusy type books on my shelf, and every time I look at them I think, yeah, I like books set in circuses. But I don't actually know if I do. I did love Geek Love, which I have already mentioned once in this video so far, I think, by Catherine Dunn. It's just one of my favourite books ever. And that is set in a circus or like a carnival. This one is set in New York City in 1895. And I'll just read you a little bit from on the back. It says, from the sideshows of Coney Island to the tenements and opium dens of the Lower East Side to an asylum on Blackwell's Island, follow the adventures of two sisters, an enigmatic orphan, a mortician's bride, an assortment of freaks and a newborn baby as they come together in the Church of Marvels. So that is definitely what drew me to this. It does sound a bit like Geek Love, so I need to get to this one very soon, I think. Then we have The Investigation by Jung Young Lee. I bought this in the pound shop many years ago. I can't even remember how long ago. And I picked it up because I love the cover, and I think it's Korean, and I love Korean books. And it's translated from the Korean by Chi Young Kim. This is set just after the war has ended, and I think something's happened and the prison guard has actually become the prisoner and he's locked inside the prison. Next we have Alas Babylon by Pat Frank. This is a dinky book. These were special editions. They had a few come out like this. Yeah, these were special editions that came out from HarperCollins. This is a dystopian novel, and my mum bought me this book. I still haven't read it. I think what's putting me off this one is the small size and the small font. I do like to be able to see my font, ideally. But this one isn't too bad, to be honest. But this is meant to be a classic dystopian, and I definitely still want to read this. We're nearly there. Next up, we've got Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. I've heard really good things about this book, and I think it follows the story of a black family in Memphis, Tennessee, I presume. I think that's where Memphis is. So yeah, definitely still looking forward to this one, and again, I love the cover on this one. Then we've got a chonker. The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock by Imogen Hermes Gower. I love this cover as well, and the spine. This is just a stunning book, and I feel like this is a kind of autumnal book, so maybe I'll try and get to it this autumn. This one's set in 1785. I think it's about a man who somehow gets into his possession a mermaid. It's meant to be a stunning read, and yeah, I definitely want to get to this. I think I'm definitely going to try and get to it this year. This is Blue Hour by Sarah Schmidt. Sarah Schmidt wrote one of my favourite books called See What I Have Done, which follows the story, fictionalised account of the Lizzie Borden murders. And I absolutely loved that book. It was creepy, like sinister. It was just superb. So very much looking forward to this one. And my plan is to do a reading vlog with this book and another book called The Blue Hour by Paula Hawkins. I thought it would be interesting to do the two books with the same name, basically. And I don't know, maybe I can try and find a third book to make it a trio. I do like to do a trio in my reading vlogs, although I've only ever done one, so what am I talking about? But yeah, definitely looking forward to reading this. I am convinced that she's going to be one of my favourite authors. And then the final book on this shelf is Inland by Taya Obret. I remember when her first book, The Tiger's Wife, came out, and she was really young at the time. I think she was like early 20s maybe, and I was, I don't know, I must have been in my 30s probably, or older, and she just made me feel so inadequate, like what on earth have I done with my life? Anyway, there's a random story for you. This one is set in 1893, and it follows the story of two people whose lives interconnect in Arizona. So it's a story about the American West, and sounds really good to me, so I need to get to this one. Again, this is a biggish one. It's not humongous, but it's less than 400 pages. It looks much bigger. So yeah, I need to try and get to this one as well. So those are all the books that are sitting on my orange shelf that I have not read yet. I've got a lot of reading to do. I don't know what is wrong with me. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have read any of these books, please let me know in the comments if you think I need to get to any of them really quickly, or if there's any that you think don't even bother, then please also let me know. Very interested in hearing your thoughts. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my tiny little YouTube channel. It would make me really happy if you did. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon for the next installment, which will be my yellow shelf. See you soon.